Good morning, and welcome to TARDIS Spider. I'm Terry, and 50 years ago today, we were in the second week of the Jon Pertwee era. So I thought today we could visit a Spearhead from Space. In my opinion, one of the best post-regeneration stories. It's my favorite of the classic era, with the 11th hour being my favorite of the new era. So let's revisit a Spearhead from Space. But while doing a little background on this, I followed my own advice and checked out the work of some other YouTubers. One who has a good following, EMS Productions, I watched his review, and then one lesser known, Dean Structure, I watched his review. And for a live reaction, I turned to Marie Claire's World Reactions. She was watching classic Doctor Who for the first time, and it was very refreshing to see someone react for the first time to some of your favorite classic Doctor Who. It reminded me why I like this story and why I like classic Doctor Who so much. So now, let's have a short discussion about classic Doctor Who, A Spearhead from Space. It's January 1970, and the Spearhead from Space is being broadcast. The first story in color and the first story of the Jon Pertwee era. The Spearhead from Space stars Jon Pertwee, Carolyn John, and Nicholas Courtney. It is a story of an Auton invasion of Earth and the Doctor's joining of UNIT. This story is written by Robert Holmes. It is a 4-part story with average viewing numbers of 8.2 million. This is up quite a bit from the 4.9 million that the War Games averaged per episode. To the Spearhead from Space, we used the special edition DVD. And I was quite amused to find that the coming attractions was the greatest show in the galaxy, because both stories had their filming altered because of work stoppages. Spearhead from Space, they shot all location shots because they couldn't get to the studio. In the greatest show in the galaxy, everything is shot in tents, in corridors, or on location because they could not get into the studios. Quite a happy coincidence. But now on to our story. Now, this story starts with dual plot lines. We see a cone of meteorites shaped in a spearhead falling to the Earth, hence the title, Spearhead from Space. And we see the TARDIS land and someone we don't know fall out of it. Now, Spearhead will give us many firsts. It will be the first time we encounter the Autons and the Nestine consciousness. It's the first time the term dimensionally transcendental is used to describe why the TARDIS is larger on the inside. It's the first time we have proof that the Doctor has 2 hearts. It's the first time we have the Doctor dressed for a shower scene. It's the first time that the Doctor will put himself in a self-induced coma. And we find out that the TARDIS lock has a metabolism protector. With extensive location shootings, locations such as the BBC Training Centre at Norton Wood in Worcestershire was used. It will also be used again in the story Robot. The rear of St. Pancras Station is the unit headquarters, and the Ealing Broadway is the street where the famous shop dummy sequence is filmed, and Madame Tussaud's Waxworks was used. Christine Rollins is the designer of Jon Pertwee's new costume, though Jon Pertwee himself influenced it by using items from his own closet, a smoking jacket, a frilly shirt by 60s designer Michael Fish, and an Inverness cape that belonged to his grandfather for a tryout script reading. In the closing scenes, we see a little bit of the real Jon Pertwee just bubble through. When he's negotiating for the car, we find out and know that Jon Pertwee likes cars and gadgets, and this will be reflected in his era of Doctor Who. Because remember, Jon Pertwee had built and owned the Who-mobile. And for some recommendations this time, I'm not going to stray far from this. I'm going to recommend a Spearhead from Space, and I'm going to also recommend The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. So enjoy these stories from classic Doctor Who. Stay safe, and good night.